Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. That's Tim.
Hello.
Yeah, I always say me first and then say, and that's Tim over there. I wanted to throw Tim off and make him just, like, have silence. Here, Tim, you filled space. I'm going to shock you into action.
I was overcome with stage fright. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, it's not like you regularly do stand-up comedy in a position where you'd be on a stage in front of people with nothing but yourself to entertain them with.
Hey, improv's a whole other ball game, my man.
Oh boy, I'm Peter, just for the record. We talk about horror movies on this show. And this episode actually is a special episode that we do once a month. This is a voted episode from our patrons. Every month we put up 4 movies in a vote, usually be themed in some way. And over the course of January, over the course of December, I should say, our patrons had the choice of 4 alligator or crocodile movies, and the winner, as you can see from the title of this episode, is Lake Placid. AKA the most well-known one out of the 4. So that's not super surprising, but that's what one. So that's what we're going to do. And likewise, right now, admittedly, by the time this goes up, it'll be really towards the end of the month, so there won't be a lot of time left to vote for the January vote for February's movie. But it's all vampire romance movies that are up for vote just now that our patrons are selecting from. So you can go to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and check out that. There'll be a link in the description. There you go. I got my plug in early this week. Alright, so Lake Placid, Bill Pullman, Bridget Fonda, Oliver Platt, Brendan Gleeson, and Betty White, of all people, are in this. It is a giant crocodile movie on this lake, which is not called Lake Placid. They mentioned that in the movie, that it's not actually called Lake Placid, but they wanted to call it that. The name was taken. Oh well. Is that like a meta commentary that the movie's plot was just stolen from something else? Like, we wanted to call it this, but unfortunately that was I don't know. Maybe I'm speculating too much. So we will start spoiler free as we typically do, and we will warn you before we go into spoilers somewhere in the middle. And the plot is pretty simple. There's a lake, there's a giant crocodile, someone gets eaten, Sheriff Brendan Gleeson ends up getting help from the fishing game service, and they send Bill Pullman. Oliver Platt's this hotshot who loves to try and hunt crocodiles, so he's coming. And then Bridget Fonda is from a museum. She's an anthropologist, because they get like a big chunk of a tooth, and it's like, hey, this isn't a normal thing. So they all work together to try and kill or trap the crocodile. That's the movie. That's all it is. And it's worth mentioning, it is directed by Steve Miner. And this is the 4th film of Steve Miner that we have done on Streams After Midnight.
Really?
Yeah, he did Friday the 13th 2 and 3, and he also did Halloween H2O.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, this was right after H2O, because H2O was 98, this was 99. So,
interesting.
Yeah, so this is the 4th movie from him.
Nothing minor about those movies.
That was a bad joke.
What? Those are major movies.
Do you think his wife likes to crack jokes where she'll come out of the bedroom and say, I just had sex with a minor, and then just walk out the room?
I hope she does. That sounds pretty funny.
that felt sarcastic there, Tim. I wasn't gonna lie.
Nope.
But like you're insulting my admittedly rough joke. Oh, okay, so Lake Placid. I take it you had seen this before, Tim? Was this the first time?
Yes.
Yeah, you've seen it before. I'd seen it before. I saw it.
I probably went to the theaters to see this.
I think I was just a little bit too young to go and see this when it came out. But I think I have a memory of watching this when it hit pay-per-view about 6 months later, when whatever the window was until it was on pay-per-view. Yeah. I think I watched it then, because I used to get a lot of new movies on pay-per-view. It was like a thing. But back when the price of a pay-per-view movie, it seemed like a reasonable amount, and as opposed to like now.
What would it be, like 6 months or something, like, for it to get on pay-per-view? Or
sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever it was, I can't remember, but sounds about right.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
I'm just interested because no, I'm just like trying to compare it to like what VOD would be like.
Oh no.
Nowadays or something.
I think because VOD get it as soon as it's out in like Blu-ray and DVD. Like, Because I think back then,
Sometimes like a couple weeks before.
yeah, it's like 2 weeks before. Because in fact, me and Connor just did Batman Gotham by Gaslight, and that's out in VOD, and
Ah,
it's not out on Blu-ray and DVD until another couple of weeks.
ooh. I might have to watch that review.
Now, just for the record, before you get excited, other than the fact that it's set in like Victorian times and that Jack the Ripper's involved, it takes almost nothing from the book. It's all its own thing.
Less excited.
Before you get spruced, because I know Mike Mignola wrote the book.
Yeah.
I know you love him. I'm warning you now, Tim.
I mean, I hate to say it, but I've kind of given up hope on these DC animated movies. Like, there's some really good ones in there. They started out really great. I don't remember the last time I enjoyed one.
They've been really mediocre for a while. The Teen Titans one last year was okay, but they've been kind of mediocre to bad. Otherwise, that Harley Quinn one last year was absolute garbage.
It looks so bad.
Where she sexually assaulted Nightwing. That was the thing that happened. But where was it going? I was saying something. My TV's going to turn off. This is all going wrong, Tim. It's disaster. It's all chaos. Okay, disaster averted. So, where was it going? Oh yeah. So I think back in the day, like the pay-per-view would have to be X amount of time after the. I mean, DVD and VHS.
Yeah.
For this, I'm thinking for 1999 it would have been DVD and VHS, but I think they'd come out.
DVDs in '99.
Yeah.
Oh,
DVDs like started like coming out properly in like 97, 90 something.
really?
Like
That?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I mean, I think Japan had DVD players in 1995. You know, remember back in the 90s when Japan got new technology like years before everyone else did?
Yeah.
And they got like the PlayStation like a full year before like the rest of the world. And there's like, whereas now it's like just that doesn't happen at all. Now if anything, Japan waits like 6 months.
Yeah.
It's so weird how things have changed. But the point I was making though is that it would go to VHS and DVD first, and maybe about 3 or 4 months, maybe a little more. Because I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, like the movie theaters were making a big stink because they were mad at how short the window was becoming before the home release.
Oh, well, I'm sure they're happy now.
But no, it's like 3 months now till VOD/home release, and then I don't know. I don't pay attention to when like the movie channels get them anymore or whatever.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, back when I was a kid, I think it was like a year for the movie channels, and then but it would be 2 years for like network TV to like get it to show it, if I recall. But
Sounds
just
about right.
this is vague memories, Tim. I don't know.
Yeah.
We went down this rabbit hole because I mentioned pay-per-view. So, Tim, revisiting Lake Placid, which I know I've not seen in at least like 10 years, maybe more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, probably more. I probably saw it maybe like the last. I saw it when it hit pay-per-view, and I maybe watched it again like maybe a few years later, like 2002, 2003, something like that. But it's been a long time.
If I had watched it again, it'd probably be like early 2000s or something at some point. But
Back when it was on TV a lot, maybe.
yeah.
Kind of thing. So I'll ask the question, Tim. Did you enjoy revisiting Lake Placid?
You know what? It was I had an okay time. It's it's kind of a punchline movie. Like you hear it a lot, you know, with jokes. I feel like if anyone does mention it at all, but as I was watching, I was like, yeah, well, there is some fun to this. It basically just seems like they're, you know, trying to do their own kind of like combination of Jurassic Park and Jaws, which is fine. And I actually do enjoy movies where animals are trying to eat people.
That's a genre which you enjoy, yes.
Yeah. I recently was looking up like the 10 animals that enjoy eating humans, and crocodiles were pretty high up there.
They do. Yeah, that's why the facts that I love about sharks is they don't actually like eating people.
Yeah.
When it happens, it happens because either they're defending themselves or it's a mistake or.
Well, like most sharks, like they'll eat anything, but if they don't like it, they'll spit it out. And so a lot of times, especially with the way like humans on surfboards and stuff look, they'll take a bite out of you and then spit it out. But yeah, like I think crocodiles are one of those animals that are actually like, ooh, like this tastes pretty good.
Hmm.
Um, of course, it's a tragedy when it happens in real life, but in movies, I'm a big I love my
I like how you
animals.
specify that. Tim, how often do we talk about movies and how much we love the kills? Like, oh, I loved how that nail gun went through that guy's eye. Like, we never have to specify and go, oh, by the way, of course, if this happens in real life, it's a tragedy. This doesn't make that
Yeah,
clear. I think they know you don't like actual people getting eaten by crocodiles, just for the record.
yeah. I don't know. I just I love my animals, and I feel like humans don't treat most animals that well. So it's nice to you get these movies where get to see them kick ass and
They, I
take some
mean,
people out.
most humans don't treat other humans well, so, it doesn't
True.
surprise me. To
Yeah.
get to make a sweeping political statement.
Yeah. But I mean, that being said, though, it's kind of fun for like a dumb, big crocodile movie. It's not perfect though. Like it's, um, I wish there were more actual kills. I'm guessing this was PG-13.
I don't think so, because there was like 3 or 4 F-bombs.
Okay, because it definitely wasn't that gory. Like,
No, I mean, really, honestly, not to get into spoilers, but I think the opening kill's like the only real kill, right?
yeah,
I don't remember any
there's.
others.
I think there was like two. I think there was another point where someone gets like eaten off the side of a boat or anything, but it's like even when it happens, it's not like you usually don't see it as it happens. Like someone like goes into the water, or they're half in the water or something. So yeah, like in terms of horror movies, it's there's not as much gruesome as you want it to be.
Nah,
Um,
it's definitely mass market friendly monster movies. It's not
yeah.
too grisly. But I think I enjoy it well enough as well. I think there's a little bit of nostalgia because it came out when I was still kind of a kid.
Oh yeah.
I think what the movie actually has going for it though, and what actually sets it apart from I presume the sequels. I've not seen any of them, but I imagine these are like ultra cheap. Whereas this, it feels like there's a bit of a budget. It doesn't look like cheap crap,
Yep.
and I think the cast are what really kind of makes it memorable because you
Oh
got
yeah.
Bill Pullman, who I like a lot. You got Brendan Gleeson, who I like a lot. There's a Betty White character, like I mentioned. Bridget Fonda, I like. I'm not super familiar with her, and I was surprised to, like, when I was looking into all the cast and what they've been doing recently. She's been retired from acting since like 2003. She long hung up
Yeah.
her acting cape.
She's a like I remember her name from when I was a kid. It's just an actress name that you heard.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, I haven't really seen her
Yeah.
much in a long time.
The one
But
thing I
she's
did,
good.
the one thing I did learn about her though is who she's married to. If you wanted to
Is
take a
that
guess.
Brendan Fraser?
There's another 90s actor who's been kind of useless since. No.
They were in Monkey Bone together, so I took a
Oh,
guess.
well, okay. I've not seen that one. I do apologize. No,
Great Stephen King cameo.
she is married to Danny Elfman.
Oh, okay. The Elf Man.
Yeah, the Elfman. What was funny when I read that though, it said she's married to Ongo Bongo frontman Danny Elfman. I'm like, when I say music composer, he does like your Beetlejuice and your Batman scores. You're going to mention that? No, Ongo Bongo. That's what they're not calling him by. I'll be honest, I forgot he was in a band until I read that. I went, oh yeah, I forgot that he was in a band called Ongo Bongo. Whatever.
And I like that back in the day, but yeah, it's definitely not what he's most known for.
Yeah, very, very, very odd. But hey, so you got a good cast, you have good chemistry. The movie, particularly with Gleeson, is pretty funny. Pullman's very much a straight man, and Gleeson is often quite funny, especially when Platt annoys him in some way and he like fights back.
Yeah.
Gleeson is usually pretty funny. Bridget Fonda's generally pretty funny as well. She's kind of got that whole I'm from the city and I don't know how to like handle myself in the woods, and there's a lot of like fish out of water stuff there with her.
Well, I mean, I think I don't know. Yeah, you can probably say like whatever, it was kind of the time when this was made, but as I was watching it, I was like, it felt kind of sexist to me. It seemed like all the men were treating her like she was some shrew, like, and I guess a lot of it is the the whole kind of city New York kind of thing, but it still felt like, all the time they were like, all right, lady, come on, like, shut up.
I mean, there is like some jokes here or there that are like, okay, right. I feel like we wouldn't do that now. We wouldn't have someone make that joke now.
Yeah, like I think at one point, like Oliver Platt, like just says like I had sex with her,
Yeah, and
like
she's
that's
like,
supposed to be a joke or
yeah,
something.
and she's like, I never had sex with you, and he's like,
Yeah.
I'm not very good at it. I never remember. And like that's a joke. Yeah, Oliver Platt's kind of the worst for that. It's his character that's kind of the source for all those like really bad, like old, I don't know, old-fashioned shitty humor.
Scuzzy.
Yeah, like I don't
But
know.
that's what kind of makes it feel like I don't know, just like it seems like such a product of its time. Like I feel like this was the kind of stuff that like the stock, action one-liner kind of stuff you would see in movies around this time.
Yeah, yeah, nah. It's definitely fair. I mean, she actually has the. I mean, she's the one with the arc because she actually wants to like, you know, do something. She wants to like feel like she's not useless because her whole character starts because she was dating the teacher from Halloween H2O. He's her boss in this, and he dumps her, and he's been having an affair with her friend who also works at the museum, and they kind of ship her off in this field trip because they don't want her around, and that's why she's there. So I mean, it's not really a movie with character arcs per se, but she's probably the closest one to having a character arc.
That's fair, yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe Brendan Gleeson kind of like learns to not hate everyone around him a little bit. That's kind of a plot.
Okay, sure.
But the movie's fun when it's fun because these characters are interacting. Oliver
Yeah.
Platt's kind of the weakest one in the sense that he's the one who comes in with all the 90s humor that's kind of dated. Whereas some of the...
He's the pompous jerk, though. You're
Yeah.
kind of supposed to, like, not really supposed to dig him too much.
Yeah, whereas, Brendan Gleeson's pretty funny, as is Fonda, and then Bill Pullman's not super funny, but he's the straight man, so he's kind of likable because he seems like a nice guy, so you like the characters. And then Betty White's this kooky old lady. Well, of course she's an old lady.
Yeah.
She's always been an old lady. She's never been young. Well, that's just Betty White. But she lives by the lake, and like her husband died years ago, and she's kind of kooky. More on that in spoiler section. But that's yeah. So it's a decent movie.
Yeah, the CGI like held up pretty well.
It's not great, but I think what they do that's really smart is two things. One, whenever it's CGI, it's a very quick shot, and secondly, it's mixed with practical effects. I don't know if you noticed, but Stan Winston's actually credited as effects in this.
Realize that.
So there are times when it's like a physical like prop, like a crocodile head or whatever.
Okay.
So so sometimes it's physical, and I think that makes it blend better. It's definitely made it age better than when it should have.
Yeah.
I imagine so. I remember specifically when he grabs a helicopter at one point, like it's a physical head, like you can tell it's not CGI. It's a model helicopter with like a model croc. I think crocs have this benefit of they're not very like animated on their own. Like they're very stiff creatures, so
Yeah.
you get away with like puppets for them quite well, where they still look quite
It's true.
realistic compared to
Yeah.
like other animals where you can tell with the eyes or whatever. Whereas crocodiles are kind of stiff, so they kind of
That's fair,
naturally
yeah.
fit with the puppetry or models or anything like that. So it works. It works. So, spoilers then, Timmy? You
Let's
ready
do it.
ready for some spoilers? All right. So there's kind of a nice message. It does kind of deflate the idea that this is even like a horror movie because it's really just it's a monster movie, so it fits. But by the end of the movie, like the characters want to save it. They don't want to kill it. They want to trank it instead and capture it because it's a marvel. It's a 30-foot crocodile. It's this huge behemoth. They should try and capture it, and they put themselves in danger to do so, including dangling a cow from a helicopter to lure it out. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of sweet. I mean, it kind of robs you of the we want to see them kill it for the finale. Now they do kill another crocodile
Mhm.
in a very funny scene.
Yeah.
Brendan Gleeson's got this big gun that he's been wanting to fire all movie, and then this other smaller crocodile shows up, and he basically explodes its head with this gun. And he's like, because he's like, oh, there's two, and then he shoots the head off this alligator, and he's like, back to one. And so this is some fun stuff. Something like that. So yeah, what did you like, Tim? What was your favorite crocodile moments?
I mean, my favorite moment probably wasn't even a crocodile. It was in the beginning when you have the like diver under the water and there's a jump scare with a beaver that swims out. Uh, so I did enjoy that. The I think the big moment and the stuff like I remember like when I was a kid was kind of the reveal with Betty White. I thought that was interesting seeing being like, oh, this old lady, like, oh, it turns out she was actually like taking care of the monster, and you see her lead a cow into the water, which I felt bad for the cow, but
yeah, she's feeding the crocodile. She's against the cops winning. She even sits and tells I really hope the crocodile wins and eats your friends. Like at one point, and she does that. Yeah,
yeah,
it's kind of it's actually I'd forgotten how weird some of it was. Like that she was like feeding the crocodile all these years, and she was rooting for the croc at the end, and it ends like the final scene's her sitting down and feeding some baby crocodiles that are in the water. And I'm like, man, I forgot these little weird elements, and or even the fact that the during the credits you get like a little sort of mid-credit sequence of the crocodile on the back of a truck being transported somewhere, and it's just this huge truck and a huge crocodile. Imagine driving next to that. Like you're on the road and you just look over, there's a giant crocodile that's as long as this truck.
yeah. And I remember when it first came out, and like everyone was like going crazy because Betty White swears in it. I forget if she drops an F-bomb, but I remember she tells the cops that if she had a dick, she would tell them to suck it, which at the time it was like, oh my, it's nothing now to you see like old people like, swear and stuff all the time in movies, but at the time it's like, oh my God, I can't believe she said that.
Yeah, it didn't even occur to me, but yeah, you're probably right. That was probably a big deal at the time. That's fun. Obviously, there's a lot of character banter and like stuff where Oliver Platt's setting traps and Gleeson's getting pissed off at him, and at one point he gets caught in a trap and he's like, "I promise I will not hurt you if you let me down." So he lets him down, and he's like, "I lied," and he chases after him, which actually does lead us to the first time we see the crocodile properly, because a bear shows up and then the crocodile
right,
comes out and eats the bear. It's actually a pretty good cool
that was
sequence.
a good moment, yeah.
Yeah. It's actually a really short movie. Like I'd forgotten that this is only 80 minutes long. It's not long at all.
And it flies by pretty quick. Like it's, it's set up like right away. Like it's instant. Like, hey, here's a croc, and here's the people that are gonna find it. Like, yeah, there really isn't any lingering.
Yeah, and like after they confirm the croc's there, because a big bit of the first chunk is like them not knowing what it is, and Oliver Platt believes it's a crocodile. The others don't. Once they have the reveal. It's basically we have a section where Platt like goes swimming because he wants to like look into the face of death and like stare down the crocodile, and then he like pushes out because he realizes this was a stupid idea. It's going to eat me. Yeah. After that, and then it becomes about forming the plan and the moral quandary of when the rest of the fish and game guys get here, they're just going to kill it, whereas we can try and save it. We can try and trap it and be more humane about it. So I guess there's a bit of a message there, which is kind of fine, and it gives them a bit of a motivation. Because I really had forgotten that the goal at the end was to save the crocodile. I'd really forgotten that. That was a surprise to me when we got that far into it. But that's basically the movie. The characters fill their archetypes. You've got your one who isn't used to being out in the wilderness. You've got your hotshot who wants to like be a bit of a daredevil and go in swimming with it and whatnot. And you've got obviously your straight man and your local cop. So you've got all the archetypes that are there. But luckily, all the actors are quite good, so they tend to be quite fun when it is just the scenes of them debating or discussing what they should do or anything like that. There's some fun banter back and forth.
Like, I know you're not supposed to like him, but I really didn't like Oliver Platt. And like, I know he's a pompous jerk, and you're supposed to, think he's annoying, but he really did just kind of come off as annoying to me.
That's fair. That's fair. But you got 3 other good characters to like, so
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, everyone else, I think is really good.
Yeah. I like that. Obviously, it's a 90s movie. It ends like a 90s movie where the main guy and girl clearly like each other. But I like that they don't kiss. It's just let's just go get a drink, and that's just it. Because really, if they'd kissed at the end, I wouldn't have bought it. There wasn't enough stuff in the movie to like justify that they were that, oh, they're going to run into each other's arms at the end and kiss.
Yeah.
This is the whole thing. So I appreciate that. But that's basically it. It's a really short and simple movie.
Yeah. Do you have any desire to watch any of the sequels?
Joe, it's funny. Had this been at any other time, I'd have said let's start working through them. Unfortunately, we are working through like 4 franchises already, and we have to start the Hellraiser franchise soon. So I'm going to say no for now. Do I have a desire to do it? A little bit. I'm kind of curious because there's way more of these than I thought there was. We looked them up because I knew there was a 2 and 3. I vaguely remember there being a 2 and a 3. There's also a final chapter, and then there's like Lake Placid versus like something, and then another one of those.
Anaconda.
Yeah. So there's like 5 or 6 of them in total.
What's kind of funny about that is like, it's I know that's the title of the movie, but Lake Placid, like you can't, like a lake can't fight something. Like,
I know.
It's
Yeah. It should be the alligator, or I keep saying alligator, the crocodile of Lake Placid versus tarantula.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming most of these sequels, I imagine they don't take place at the lake, but I don't know.
I have no idea.
Maybe they do.
Well, at least not the same lake. I can see it being other small lakes in Maine or something like that, where they like more crocodiles are coming, and then again they set up the baby crocodiles at the end of the first one. So maybe the second movie is literally like these like 4 crocodiles like grown up.
Remember, is Resident Evil 2 had a crocodile, I believe.
The game did, yes.
Yeah. No, not the movie.
Yeah. Which you could kill in one hit with the canister and the bullet. And if you did that, you'd blow it up. And when you played through the second scenario, I won't explain that because it takes a long time, but when you played through the second scenario on the second disc, it wouldn't be there because you blew it up. However, what most people don't know is that if you kill it with conventional ammo, when you get to the second disc, he will still be there again. You'll have to fight him again if you didn't blow him up. That's worth mentioning. So yeah. Bit of Resident Evil 2 trivia for you, because that's exactly what we're going.
And not exactly the same, but I also remember the Killer Croc fight in Arkham Asylum.
I remember that. Why is this turned into crocodiles in video games? When did that become a thing? There's actually crocodiles in Resident Evil 5 as well.
Oh. It's been a while since I played that. I only played it once.
There's a bit where you're running through water and like the crocodiles are like jumping up at you. You have to kind of keep dodging them.
I will say I probably will play Resident Evil 5 again at some point. Just probably not for a while. I think 6 is the one I will never play again.
I never finished 6, and somehow
I beat it with Leon, and then I think there's like 3 other characters you play as, and I didn't even bother.
Well, you didn't finish it then, because it's not. When you say you can play it as Leon, it's a different like story. It's not even like it's not like Resident Evil 2 where you play through this, or Resident Evil 1 where you play through the same thing again with another character. Chris has his own plot, and it's in different settings. It's different. It basically is a game that's split into 3.
Oh, okay. Well, screw that.
Because I beat Leon's story as well, but that's not finishing 6. 6 has another 2 stories.
Okay. I think I started with. Could you play as like Ada as well?
You unlocked a bonus thing with her, but the other characters were Chris and his buddy in like the second one, and then the third one was older Sherry Birkin with Wesker's son.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't even remember that.
And they had and Wesker's son had powers. Like he had like powers he could use.
Jesus Christ.
I know,
That
right?
sounds so bad. I mean, it probably sucks, but I'm a little intrigued. Maybe I'll look up the cutscenes or something just to see what happened.
Yeah. It's a completely different. It's a completely different 8-hour story for each of the other things.
There's a part of me though that, like, sometimes when I go to, like a Best Buy or something, and I'm looking at like games, and I see that on the PS4 for like $15. There is a part of me that's like, maybe I should just buy it just so I, have like all the games I can get on PS4 for Resident Evil, but I can't bring
Yeah, I
myself
mean,
to it.
we could co-op it, Tim, as 2-player.
And that is a little tempting because it's like
Sharing the
if
pain.
like if I'm gonna play it, I would want to play it with you. I don't know. You can take that as a compliment where I want you by my side, or as an insult where I want you to suffer.
I don't know. Yeah, one of the two. Do you know what I think's funny? Is me and Tim for Patreon did an audio commentary track for the first Resident Evil movie just last week, and somehow he tangented into this episode with more Resident Evil talk. That somehow happened. Instead of talking
I got RE fever, baby. I got that
crocodiles
RE2
and...
remake.
Oh yeah, I'm waiting for it. But back to crocodiles and Lake Placid. So I think we will work through the sequels at some point for funds, and I'm sure they're all silly cheap, but we'll maybe work in that in 2019 at some point, you know, later when we've finished all the franchises we're already on. I will say, I think I vaguely remember that even the first sequel, Lake Placid 2, was quite a bit of time later. I don't think that was like quick. That was like at least 10 years after the first one. So they're all more recent than you think. I'll double check. 2007. So okay, not quite 10, but 8 years later was Lake Placid 2.
Jeez.
I know, right? Lake Placid 2.
I think like the mid 2000s, I feel like was a hot spot for, these shitty movies that was just like, anything that people might recognize as a name. Let's rush, crappy straight to DVD sequel.
The third one was 2010.
Okay.
The final chapter, which is the fourth one, so it's copying Friday the 13th at this point, was 2012. And then Lake Placid versus Anaconda is 2015, and I think that's the last one so far. I mean, that's only 3 years old now at this point. So, I mean, there's a possibility for more. Wait, is that Robert Englund in the fifth one? It is. Robert Englund's is in Lake Placid versus Anaconda. A lake takes on a spider.
What the?
Also, I recognise her name. Who's Jancy Butler? Oh, she was in Kick-Ass. All right, I knew I recognised her name. But Robert Englund's Jesus Christ.
I'm mildly curious, I must admit.
I don't even know. Wait, Yancy Butler's in the third one? Is she like in like all the sequels?
Maybe.
I'm going to check too. Is she like the recurring character? She's not in the. She's not in the second one. Oh, the second one does have Jonathan Kent from Smallville in it. John Schneider.
He's a good guy. Good guy.
He's all right. Yeah, sure. I mean, nothing against him. Nothing against him. Does make me wonder though, who's in the final chapter. I'm curious. I know I'm looking at the sequels now. I'm just like, I think we will do these at some point. However, it'll be after we've done some other franchises. After we've finished some of the other ones, we'll come back and do the sequels for Lake Placid. Hey, maybe they'll do a sixth one, and we'll have a reason to catch up on them before the new one comes out. That's when we'll maybe do it. I don't know if hope's the right word, Tim, but we'll see. But that is Lake Placid. Tim, do you want to rate the movie out of 10?
I forgot we haven't even done that yet.
No, we haven't. No.
I'll give it a 5.5. I think, like you said, there's a little bit of nostalgia running through it. If you kind of grew up around this time, and there's some fun to be had. I'd probably bump it up a point or two if there's more kills and more gore.
That's fair. It's a very safe movie to just put on. Like, I don't think you can maybe necessarily watch kids watch it, but like I think once they're like 12, it's like, okay, you're good to watch this. There's nothing in this. It's going to just. I mean,
Definitely.
having said that, I was like 10 when it came out and I watched it, so I mean, clearly I was okay with it at the time as well. So I'll be slightly more positive. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I think it's a solid 6, meaning that it's a perfectly fine watchable thing that I have. Like, I think I'll probably watch it again at some point as a background movie. It's kind of perfect for that kind of thing.
It's a great nostalgic streaming movie.
Yeah. But
you're
it's
flipping through Netflix and you have nothing to watch, and you're like, "Oh, hey, this movie I haven't seen in forever." Like,
yeah,
it's fine.
But it's nothing great either. Like, it's just decent, bit of fun, good character actors, and that's okay. but that's Lake Placid. But nothing special either. So, but there you go. That is Lake Placid. So by all means, let us know what you think of Lake Placid in the comments below. Are you excited at the prospect of us doing 4 sequels? I'm amazed that there's some actors who are in like 3 of the sequels, because that Yancey Butler was in 3, 4, and 5.
Wow.
Which is amazing to me. I'm curious to see who else maybe like is recurring through them. Because I think I kind of assumed, because it was all these direct-to-video movies over these years, that they were all standalone things that were just kind of, you know, another crocodile movie that has nothing to do with the previous ones. But there's characters who come back in multiple movies, so
it's a very involved, intricate plot.
The Lake Placid mythology and how the lake itself fights a tarantula. Is it a crocodile even in that movie? Who knows? But maybe we'll find out. But that is us. So let us know what you think of the movie. Like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on Twitter at mail_fuzz for channel updates. I mentioned at the start, but head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv to support the show and the channel and get some bonuses, voting rights, all that kind of thing. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching scary movies. Crocodiles, alligators, or not. I don't mind. Whatever you like watching kill people, watch that. And that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. I always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, and we'll see you next time.
See you, alligator. See you later, alligator.
You botched that so hard, Tim.